Okay, so here's my discussion on the newborn metabolic screening. Um, this is a test for newborns. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone here to kind of role play with me, but I'm going to do my best and we'll see how it goes. So first of all, I see that you're coming in to, well, let's start over. All right, so let's say we have a client. She is 40 weeks pregnant, and we're just going over tests for the newborn for the postpartum period. So I see that you haven't filled out your newborn metabolic screening sheet, stating that if you want to go forward with that test or if you want to decline it. I just wanted to clarify any questions that you might have and ask if you were able to review that sheet, and if you were unclear on anything. I'm happy to answer or clarify any of those questions for you today. So first, what I just did was making sure that they had all the information that they needed, and if they needed any clarifying questions to move forward with the test, then I would do so. So they might say something like, I'm a little confused about what it is and how many tests are recommended. So quickly, let me just review the newborn metabolic screening. So the newborn metabolic screening is a heel prick test that's done on the newborn, typically after 24 hours, but before 48 hours of life. And this is done to collect the baby's blood and test, the state will test the baby's blood in order to test for a variety of metabolic disorders. So there's about 40-ish tests that are done on the actual test that they're screening for. And there's kind of like different categories. So the different categories are the amino acid disorders, fatty acid disorders, liposome storage disorders, hemoglobin, organic acinemia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And then there's group 1 and group 2, which are other categories of tests that need to be done. Some of these tests include things like sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis is one of them, the PKU, which is one of the tests that is the test that it actually was used to referred by, metabolic syrup urine disorder, congenital hypothyroidism. So there's a list of those are just a couple, but those are some of the things that we're going to be testing for in your newborn. The reason why we like to test after 24 hours is because some of these tests won't be detected in that time period, but we want to test fairly quickly because most of these disorders, if treated, the newborns will be okay, and early intervention is best. So that's why we want to test nice and early. And like I said, this is done on the heel prick of the baby. It's collected on like a filtration card, almost looks like a cardboard like piece of paper, and you have to fill, in our state it's 5 different circles. Some states it's 4, but in Connecticut it's 5. And then that test gets mailed out to the state. They test it and they usually get back to you within 5 to 7 business days. If the test comes back positive for anything, we will redo the test here in Connecticut. The state likes us to redo the test. And then if that comes back positive, they will send you to CCMC, which is our children's hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. So that's kind of how the test is run. Let me just make sure that I'm hitting all your marks. The risk and benefit, there's not a huge risk associated with this test because it's a heel prick. And the benefit is that you will get to find these disorders nice and early, and your child will be treated. Disadvantages are there's a high false positive test results on this test, so it can be a little alarming as parents to think that your baby has something when in reality it's just a false positive. So that's something that can be a little bit frustrating. And I believe I hit all your other topics. Did that clarify some of your questions for today? And do you have any other questions that you need me to answer? So at this point, I would just clarify anything else and make sure that if they are declining or going forward with the test, that they understand, just all the risks and benefits of going forward and also declining the test. So that is my video on newborn metabolic disorder. I'm so glad that you have a better understanding of it now, and if you have any other questions before you sign your document, please let me know.